Well, thanks everybody. I really appreciate the invitation to come, Ashish and Raghu and the Alphonso team. Well, let me dive in. So as Ashish mentioned, I lead the ad product group at Yahoo. I've been there for 8 years, and so all the different advertising technologies, the data systems, a lot of the work we've done at Yahoo over that time, I've been focused on. So I'm here to talk some bit about what Yahoo's focused on, but more about this theme and this trend of shifting TV and shifting consumer behaviors related to TV and what's happening and where we're going as an industry. So go ahead. This slide really starts to lay out the challenge and the opportunity for everybody. So these are percentage growth rates in time spent by medium. And if you go from left to right, the 1% is the time spent on traditional TV. So this is holding flat in the industry and consumer behavior. And what you're starting to see, this is a year-over-year graph. 16% is the increase in time spent for time-shifted TV. So you've recorded a program, you're watching it at a different time. The next one is the time spent in online, which we know is growing. And then the final one is time spent in online video consumption. And so what you're seeing is a massive trend, and we all know it and we live in this space. But what we have done is spend some time studying these trends and looking deeper into what are the drivers and what is it that people are looking for that are either connected TV owners or intenders are really looking at what is it that they're doing on the consumer behavior side to then bring that back to what the marketer is trying to achieve and how we can help, and the folks in this room and our partners. Go ahead. So this is an interesting data point from a study that we did, and we talked to about 1,000 consumers, half and half, those that owned smart TVs and those that were intending to purchase. And so 51% said, I never actually just sit there and watch TV. I am always doing something else. And then if you look on the far side, 93% are using their mobile to do something while they're watching TV. So is there anybody here in the audience who's actually watched a TV program without using your mobile device? 2 out of 100, so we're right on track here. Which TV program was that, actually? The Game of Thrones. Okay, so you were so shocked by what was happening, you didn't have time. So I understand that. But I think this stat is something that has now hit home. Like, it's happening, everybody is doing that, and it's pervasive in consumer side, it's pervasive for what the marketer needs to know. So let me drill a little bit deeper here. What this is going to show you, next slide, is as we dig into more of the specifics. Here we go. This is what those folks are doing. So 77% are looking up something related to the program that they're watching. And that's actually a higher number than you might think. But this is showing that folks are engaged. Consumers are actually thinking about what the program is, what the actor is, what the sports team is, and they're looking for related information to that. But in addition, they're also multitasking because it shows that 9 out of 10 are also doing things unrelated to the program. So these two stats, keep these in mind as we go a little bit deeper here. So keep going. This is one case in point, which is that folks have asked how much of that is search behavior, just pure out and out search. I'm running a query. And this study and these findings are that's around 40% of the time. When somebody goes online, they're searching. And so that's a tie directly to, as a marketer, you've got a program running, you're trying to reach an audience through TV, but you also have an opportunity to get very targeted and very specific about the keywords and the interests of what somebody's looking for. Keep going. And then as you go into a more specific vertical experience, and I'll spend a moment on this. So this is a couple graphs around Yahoo Fantasy. How many folks in here are fantasy football players? So you know well that when the weekend comes around, these are spikes of time spent. So that's the app usage graph, and every one of those spikes is a Sunday. And there's a little spike in between, which is on Wednesday, which is when you've got to set your waivers, you've got to figure out what to do with your team and how to recover from last week's embarrassing defeat. And I'm embarrassed to say I lost to Ned Brody last week in our executive league. But I'm going to come back. So we see this data. This is actual real-time data that we have tracked during the time. We've taken all the fantasy logs and we've brought them in. And on the right are the ad clicks. And so what's happening here is it's not just that you're engaged in the second screen application experience, which you clearly are, but you're also engaged in the advertising related to that experience. So the takeaway here is not that a brand necessarily should invest in creating a deep and rich second screen experience, but it is part of the portfolio of solutions to look at. So you can do broad-based advertising at the search level. You can do broad-based targeting, but there are also these opportunities for cases where publishers and other developers have created this kind of an experience that we're able to demonstrate that linkage between what's happening in real time on the TV, what the programs and the shows are that are being watched, and what's happening in the mobile environment with something related to that show. Go ahead. These are the stats. We know these stats. We're well over 1 billion today. We're heading to 4 billion mobile devices. Keep going. 150 times a day, everybody's on the device. And these are the things that led Yahoo about 2.5 years ago to deeply focus on a mobile-first approach to our product development. So keep going until it builds. And what that has led Yahoo to do, go ahead, is focus on our first wave of mobile development was reimagining the applications that Yahoo provided. And so the two that we feature here, the Yahoo News Digest and Yahoo Weather. And those have been the apps we've been proudest of. They've had the most success. Apple recognized those two for our design and their design award. And what we learned from these, and the reason we did these two apps, Weather was a case where everybody thought that category was done. And it wasn't, in fact, done. Because what we did is we took a mashup of Flickr image photography and the curated sets of images that everybody takes around the world, and we built out a rich set of opportunities to see what is the weather like in my hometown or in the town that I'm looking up the weather on. And that has become our most successful app outside of Mail itself. We just brought that out for the iPad. Yahoo News Digest was also an experimental app. And what we did there is we looked at the data showing mobile consumption. And we all see a lot of graphs about the day and how much time is spent on mobile during the day. You have to go deeper than that to get the insight on what consumers are doing in mobile. So if you look at the news consumption graph in mobile, there's two peaks. There's a morning peak and there's an evening peak. And it may be that we've been trained by morning and evening TV that news happens twice a day. It may also be that's our commute time when we're tuning in to hear what's happening in the world. But that led directly to the product idea of Yahoo News Digest, that we issue you a news digest in the morning and in the evening. So twice a day, the Yahoo editorial team curates the stories that you need to see and delivers that through the app. The other insight that we had when we built Yahoo News Digest was that consumers that we talked to felt like in this world of infinite streams and never-ending content, they never felt like they were done. And so the other feature of the News Digest app, which has received a lot of positive feedback, is that you can actually be done reading the news twice a day. So when you're done with those 7 stories, it says, congratulations, you're done. Come back in 8 hours and we'll give you your next batch. And so there's this collective sigh of relief that I'm actually done checking the news right now and I've seen what needs to be seen. But these are examples where it's the underlying insight of consumer behavior that we're trying to listen to very carefully. And I think that lesson will come back when we talk about the shift of TV experience into mobile, is trying to get a deeper understanding of what is the consumer really doing with TV. That at this point, Yahoo is over 50% of our engagement and traffic is coming in through our mobile users. And so we at a large scale, that has been a big milestone internally for us, is to see half of the users come through a mobile engagement and half of the page views and the consumption happening in the mobile world. So keep going. I think that next I want to talk for just a moment about Flurry and how it fits in and why it has value in this end-to-end conversation on TV. We recently acquired Flurry, which is the leading mobile analytics vendor. And the reason for that are some of these are the stats. And what this means to a consumer, what it means to a marketer, is that we're now going to be bringing together the data that we're seeing from so many different applications on every device Go ahead, 1. And that's an average. So if anybody who's got an iPhone, an Android device, that's the mean number of apps that use Flurry analytics today. And it's feeding that data in and giving us access to that set of touch points on a monthly basis of over 1 billion smart devices. Some of the things that we can do in that, if you go 1 more, is that we're seeing that much of the app activity. And that app activity, we're seeing it now, the intensity of the usage. It's not just that the app is installed on the phone, it's how often you use it. And that signal has led Flurry to develop a set of audience interests and segments that are showing a lot of value to marketers when they're trying to reach someone who's actually interested in the category of sports, as evidenced by the fact that they're spending this much time in this set of apps in the App Store. Go ahead. With Flurry, and I think this echoes the same cycle that all of us look at, is that closed loop cycle of how do I reach a user, how do I track what's happening with that user, how do I measure an outcome, and then how do I repeat. It's been challenging in mobile because in mobile, the different operating systems, the different applications, the different vendors. But I think that 2014 and really next year is the year when a lot of these data sets are going to start to tie. And I'll talk in a moment about how I think TV can be the beginning of that funnel, but mobile is the point of consumption, as we've seen from the consumer trends and the consumer behavior on the couch. This is where the data is being consumed in the media, but there's an earlier part to the story. The piece here that's related to advertising directly is the innovation in what is a video ad format in mobile that works. And earlier today, I was at the BrightRoll Summit. We've been in a lot of the panels and the discussions, and there's a lot of discussion around how do we find the right form of video engagement that's going to work in a mobile context. And I don't think that anybody will claim to have figured it out, but we have seen great traction through Flurry, in particular in the area of app marketing, which is either app install or re-engagement with an application that either a brand or a developer has created, and they want to embed that as interstitial experiences in certain classes of apps, like games and entertainment. And one of the takeaways here is that a given type of video ad format is not going to be one size fits all in the mobile space. Different categories are going to have very different characteristics for the kind of ads that are going to work in mobile, and that's going to translate to video as well. So pricing models and effectiveness, it could be a 15-second spot with a completion objective is actually what drives something inside a game, whereas it'll be something completely different when you're looking at a commerce app. Go ahead. Switch gears for a moment to video. And this is just the next couple slides are a recap of Yahoo's video investments and where we're trying to go as a company in the space of video content and our video strategy. So we know from our research that 3/4 of the consumers are looking for full-length TV episodes online. That's a very important ask. About 40% are interested in comedy and about the same in music as the key genre. Go ahead. That's led Yahoo to a set of decisions, and many of you hopefully saw that we brought Community back, and we're very excited about that. That's a great program, and I think we've seen a great response both from the community itself and the people that are dedicated as watchers, but also from the advertising community about how to find that connection. We have a number of things in the vertical areas with the journalists and the editors that we brought in. Partner content, Saturday Night Live archives. On the live side, we're doing a lot of investments in live programming. And then last but not least is the high quality created video, for example, what we've done with P&G over the years as they've reached out to their segments and created original programming and original video content. So the goal here is a wide range of all premium, high quality video material that either we produce or fund or bring in through partnerships. Go ahead. On the live side, we know that this has been a growing interest because I think, frankly, of the quality of delivery in mobile. That's what's enabled these types of things to happen in the past year that, although there's been a lot of experiments over the years, like all the way back on live programming, it's really been the last year or two, the phones have gotten good enough and the bandwidth and the data plans that you're willing to spend the time watching programs like this. So we run an experiment this year. We announced Live Nation back in May, which is a concert every single day. 365 concerts a year sponsored on Yahoo through Live Nation. And that was a great success with the marketers who sponsored that. It's been a great success with consumers who are coming in droves through Yahoo Screen to get access to that material and then get it as a video on demand after the fact. NFL Now is a case where we're the only digital media company with the rights to NFL's new personalized programming. And this is the video stream. Those of you using Fantasy know about this. This is like all the time, all you could possibly want about NFL, personalized to the teams and the players and what you want. So we're very excited to see the traction on that as a consumption. And then the awards programs and our investments in the Emmys and the Oscars and being there on the carpet and doing the interviews. Go ahead. These are some of the names. Katie was here on Monday. How many of you, some of you probably saw Katie at Mix on Monday. We're excited about all of these. And these are the leading figures in their areas coming to Yahoo to help sponsor our next generation of what we call the digital magazines. And we think that there's a new opportunity here. Folks would have said, you know what, a beauty site is done. You can't do anything new in the realm of a beauty site or a style site or a movie site. And I think what we're seeing with Joe Z and the recent launch of Yahoo Style, with our Yahoo Food, with Yahoo Travel and movies, is there is an opportunity to re-envision how a consumer interacts with that content, especially in a desktop experience where you've got a large screen, you've got access to incredible amounts of imagery and visuals and video, and you've got marquee editors and writers coming in who are taking a shot at the next generation of these experiences, much like Katie herself came to Yahoo to say the next chapter in what she wants to do is experiment with digital. And so this is all a backdrop for the platform that we're trying to provide to our partners to come in and monetize, to reach those consumers, or to contribute if they're a content provider. I want to talk about Yahoo Smart TV, and this is something that I think is an interesting piece that ties all of this story together as a proof point. So Yahoo Smart TV is something that is in market today. We partner with the leading smart TV manufacturers, especially in the US. And what it does is the original idea is it started as an augmented player. So something that gives you content on the side related to the program you're watching. And we're showing here, a pop-up that's coming that's tied to the remote control on your Samsung TV. Some of you may have a Samsung Smart TV. And you can bring up adjacent content. So that was the genesis of the idea. But as this has evolved, go ahead to the next slide, what we have learned from that, and through our acquisition of IntoNow, which was a small company that did digital fingerprinting of video content, we're able to take a signal now from what content is being watched in the smart TV and use that data and generate profiles of interests, generate pictures of what's the content being seen, what is the program, and what is the commercial, and then feed that and start to develop this linkage. So a lot of the things that I talked about in the mobile space, where you're looking at data at the point of consumption, here you're looking at data collection at the point of the original TV program being seen. And so what's exciting to us, if we go ahead one more, is that how this can work, and I walk through as a kind of a technical use case here, it'll be hard to read, but what you were doing is you're finding these users on smart TV, and you're connecting those with their usage of other devices. And remember again that on the couch, 93% of them have the mobile device open at the same time as the smart TV. So there's a connection that can be made. And then what we're trying to do is we're taking that information, we're taking the advertiser inputs, and this is a traditional rate sheet, like how do you go after and target your rating points and figure out who you're going to buy, joining that information, and then enabling two big use cases on the output side. Go ahead, one more slide. One of those outputs is on the left, which is insights and analytics. So I can go back to a partner and say, here is what your users are actually doing on TV. And I can tell you about them, I can profile them, I can give you insight in a market research way. Here's a study that I can run that'll tell you things you didn't know about what that consumer group is doing. The other thing that I can do on the analytics side is help with this mixed modeling question, because we've all seen those curves. There's a decreasing efficiency at some point as you're trying to increase your reach through a TV buy. can I help you find the folks that you have a hard time reaching, or you can only reach once, you're getting a frequency of 1, and how do I shift and find that particular audience online in a customized way so that you're not wasting budget trying to reach a big group. You've already covered part of their exposure through TV. The second thing that we can do is the actual retargeting and the identifying of that user group. So whether it is you're saying, I want to find users that are interested in a certain brand, or whether you actually want to do something which we are actively have pilots running, can you tell me in an A/B test between the consumers that saw my ad on the TV set and actually were there and saw it and the smart TV registered that it was seen, what was their downstream behavior on digital, on mobile, versus the control group that didn't see the ad? And that kind of an A/B test today is done through panels, and it's done through probabilistic measures, and it's done through a lot of estimating. We're actually able to establish that linkage now. So starting all the way back at the TV exposure, all the way into the digital experience, and join that data and run those kinds of campaigns today. So I think it's a proof point of the beginning of this next wave and the shift that is happening, both of consumers who clearly they haven't gotten off the couch because that time spent is flat, but they're consuming the video everywhere else in the world. And now we're able to help you make these decisions as partners on how do I take that information and use it to improve my return. And I think that that's it. One more. Last of all, so this was a use case of a synergy example. So this is an unnamed firm, and what they were doing is they were running a tune-in. So a new TV show was coming out. And we set up a pilot and a specific set of campaigns to say what's the most effective way to get folks to tune in to that new TV show. So on the left is a traditional TV campaign. So I run my ads on TV and I'm trying to get folks to come tune in at the time that my new show is running. And we can actually validate they tuned in or not because we're capturing that signal on the smart TV. The middle one is a traditional online digital campaign. So if you went to your agency, if you went to your partners, whoever your ad tech provider is, you said, I want a set of, these are my targets. I think I want users of this age. I want this demo. I want these interests. That's the group I want to target. That was the effectiveness here. On the right was the direct targeting that was done through, I took the folks that I know are interested in that type of content from other shows that they watch, and then I directly targeted them online and digital. So I didn't use third-party data. I didn't build these audience segments. I went directly from the data consumed, and we found that by far and away drove a significant amount of tune-in for people that wouldn't have seen that particular show before, but we caught them at a moment of interest, and we were able to define the segment so accurately that the results were very strong. And so this is one of the pilots that we're very excited about, and the results that we've been doing really over the past couple of months. We're reaching this point of experimentation in this new segment. So I think with that, Ashish, I'll wrap up here. But thank you guys, and I'll be around at break if anybody has any questions.